with your results from the U.S. midterm elections, plus more events from around the world. This is your commercial-free show for the classroom, CNN Student News.
Let me just say this. It's clear tonight who the winners really are, and that's the American people. It was the American people's voice that was heard at the ballot box, the American people's voice. And listen, I'm going to be brief because we've got real work to do, and frankly, this is not a time for celebration.
Representative John Boehner saying he and other Republicans are ready to get back to work in Washington, D.C. You might have noticed his title, Minority Leader. When it comes to the U.S. House of Representatives, his party won't be in the minority much longer. Yesterday, we explained how the Republicans needed to win 39 additional seats to take control in the House. They won at least 60. Experts say that is the biggest gain by any major political party since 1948. When we produced this show on Wednesday, Republicans were projected to win 239 of the 435 seats in the House of Representatives. Democrats were projected to take 185. 11 races hadn't been called yet. But it takes 218 to hold a majority in the House. An important thing to keep in mind, the new members of Congress who were elected Tuesday, they aren't starting their new jobs just yet. That'll happen in January. And when it does, a lot of people expect that Representative Boehner will be chosen as the new Speaker of the House.
I have to admit, this has been one of the toughest. But it's nothing compared to the fights families are facing all over Nevada right now. This race has been called, but the fight is far from over. The bell that just rang isn't the end of the fight, it's the start of the next round.
Heading over to the other side of Congress now, the U.S. Senate. That was Senator Harry Reid, a Democrat and the Senate Majority Leader. His party will stay in the majority in the Senate. It takes 51 seats to hold that majority. After Tuesday's results, CNN is projecting that Democrats will hold 52 seats. Republicans are projected to hold 47. There was still one seat undecided when we recorded today's show. That 47 number for the Republicans is up from 41 before the midterms, so they did make gains, just not enough to win a Senate majority. You've heard a lot about the Tea Party movement during this campaign season. It had an impact on the election results. Senate candidates in Kentucky and Florida who were backed by Tea Party supporters both won their elections. Some experts said that the Tea Party movement was responsible for the big shift in the House, too.
Thank you.
What's the word? Relating to or about a governor. Gubernatorial. That's the word.
Republicans appear to also have won a gubernatorial majority after the results of Tuesday's 37 elections for governor. They needed to take at least 3 governor's offices away from Democrats to win that majority. They picked up at least 10. Some gubernatorial races went the other way, switching from Republicans to Democrats. And in Rhode Island, neither party won. That state elected an independent as its new governor. It wasn't just people on the ballot. Voters also decided on certain issues that could become laws in their states. A few examples. Illinois passed an amendment to the state's constitution that will allow for the governor to be recalled from office. A couple states passed a bill that would let people there opt out of the U.S. government's health care reform requirements. And in California, voters shot down a measure to legalize marijuana. In order to understand why Americans vote the way they do, organizations ask people questions as they leave polling locations. These are called exit polls. On Tuesday, those polls showed the economy was far and away the most important issue on the minds of voters. Exit polls also indicated that more than half of Americans aren't too happy with either Republicans or Democrats. It's something that President Obama talked about when he discussed the election results.
Over the last 2 years, we've made progress. But clearly, too many Americans haven't felt that progress yet, and they told us that yesterday. And as president, I take responsibility for that. What yesterday also told us is that no one party will be able to dictate where we go from here, that we must find common ground in order to in order to make progress on some uncommonly difficult challenges.
The nation of Indonesia is recovering from an earthquake and a volcanic eruption. If that sounds familiar, Indonesia suffered this same combination, an earthquake and eruption, just last week. Yesterday's quake was weaker than the previous one. No reports of damage or injuries from this quake. The volcano that's erupting is the same one, Mount Merapi. It's been shooting out lava and ash, like you see in these pictures here, since late October. At least 39 people have been killed. More than 70,000 have had to leave their homes. Some people who live in the volcano have left, come back to check on their houses and farms, and then had to turn around and leave again.
Today's shout out goes out to Mr. Ferda's 9th grade American government class at Andover High School in Andover, Minnesota. The properties on the traditional Monopoly board were named after streets in what U.S. city? Is it Atlantic City, Las Vegas, Miami, or New York? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Monopoly's properties were based on Atlantic City streets. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
Atlantic City, I'd guessed New York. But from the streets of Atlantic City, Monopoly has exploded. Now, one of the most popular games in the world. And this week, it turns 75 years old. Most of us have collected our $200 for pass and go, maybe spent some time in jail. Now we're going to take a trip to the factory that has a monopoly on this iconic game.
Monopoly is the quintessential board game. It's sold in 111 countries and in 43 languages.
It's the best game to play. This is where Monopoly is manufactured. This is the Hasbro Games facility. It's the largest games and puzzles producer in the world. We produce up to 2 million Monopoly games a year.
My job is to make plastic parts for our games and toys. I'm sure everyone plays Monopoly. It's something that's just never going to go away.
I've been here 25 years. I work in the Monopoly line. All Monopolies are different. This is only 30 pieces in each pack. I think it teaches you part of life, you know. You make the right decisions in life. If you make your investments, how to save money, how to buy property. It's been part of history.
Get more fun with the family, you get to talk with the family. Video games, you just sit there and do this all day.
This is a final assembly line. This is where all comes together. This is where the magic happens. It's just a way to bring the families together. Teaches about numbers, teaches you about competition, teaches you about relationships. Life is just too hectic now. It moves at a pace that we're not used to. This slows it down a little bit. Perfect family game.
All right, before we go, there is an art to organizing a food drive. In this case, the food drive is art. It's called Construction, and it's a food drive / design project. Look at this. Ultimately, all of this stuff goes to charity. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. What happens is designers build these art pieces out of canned goods. The art then goes on display, and then all of the cans go to help the hungry. So you've got a good cause, a unique art show, competitors with a can-do attitude, puts today's show in the can. The label is CNN Student News, and we'll open up a new batch of stories for you tomorrow. Bye-bye.